Sit up straight. From your pubis to your navel, lift up. See if that balances the weight on your sitting bones. If it doesn't, move your shoulders forward and back until the weight is even on your sitting bones. Move your arm bones back to bring your shoulder blades into your back. Rest your hands on your thighs and close your eyes. Descend your thighs. Feel your weight even. So your knee not leaning forward nor back. Use your inhalation to lift up. Use your exhalation to relax the skin on the back body down. The skin and the muscles, move those down. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, release. Soften your neck and throat. Release your jaw. Rest your tail into the base of your mouth. Take slow, even breaths. And then gently open your eyes. Extend your legs out. And then either use a blanket, a towel, or a second sticky mat and roll it up. Roll it up tightly. I'm not doing a very good job. And you're gonna place the sticky mat behind your knees, or a blanket or whatever, and sit down. From there, reach your right arm behind and grab your upper left arm. And then move your elbow as far to the left as you can. Then bend your left arm and grab your right elbow. or your wrist or wherever. And roll your shoulders back. Then release your arms. Use your left arm, grab your upper right arm. Move your elbow in towards the center of your back. And then bend your right arm. Grab the other elbow. Roll your shoulders back, lift your chest. And release your arms. You can rotate your shoulders a few times. All right, move the sticky mat down so that it's at the midpoint on your calf. And sit back down. Then reach around with your hands. Join your palms. Roll your shoulders forward. So I'm hunching. And with your shoulders rolled forward, try to turn your fingers towards the ceiling. Then move your hands up your back, and if you can, eventually you'll hit the middle of the thoracic spine, the part that sticks out. So to keep that from sticking out, lift your chest, and you might be able to scooch a little bit higher. Press your palms towards each other. Lift the front of your chest. I guess you only have a front of chest. I don't think you have a back chest. But lift the area right here as much as possible between your armpit and the top of your shoulder. Then release your hands down. Roll your shoulders a little bit. Now place the roll on your heels. Lift your right arm up. Pat yourself on the back. Roll your right arm in. Take your left arm around behind. Reach up for your right hand. If you can't reach, don't worry about it. Just press your hands into your back. Soften your neck and throat. All right, and then switch sides. So lift your left arm up. Take it as far back as possible. Bend your elbow, pat yourself on the back. Roll your arm in towards your face, your upper arm in. You can use your opposite arm or you can just do it. Then take your right arm around behind and reach for your left arm. Or Gomukhasana arms. Or use a strap or just press your hands into your back. Then release your arms, rotate your shoulders. Come off the roll. Come onto your hands and knees. If you need a little stretch out of your leg, you can stretch your legs first. We're coming into downward dog. But, all right, and then tuck your toes underneath, lift your hips high. Extend your heels as far back as possible. Balance the weight evenly on your right and left foot. And then balance your weight between the inner, the big toe and the little toe side of the foot. Inner foot and outer foot. Move your thighs further and further back. Press your palms into the floor. Notice if there's more weight on one side of the palm than the other. You can even look at your fingers, and you might see that in my case, the little finger has a little bit lack of blood supply. It's a little on the white side rather than pink. So I need to push more with my index finger and thumb. At the same time, turn your upper arms out. Relax your neck. Move your chest towards your thighs, move your thighs away from your chest. Lift the backs of your thighs up. And then bend your knees. Come back to seated. All right, let's see. Do it this way. Take your right ankle over your left knee. Then take your left hand and you can move between the toes of your right foot. So you're spreading your toes. All right. All right. Now, if this is okay for your hips, you can bend your other leg. So I'm supporting myself with my right hand so I don't fall backwards, but I still have my hand in between my toes. All right. Then you're going to take your other leg and stack your shins. So they may not stack up. It may be something like this. But if they're fairly stacked, you can take your other hand and get between the toes. You can do both at the same time. All right. Then release your hands, because it's not possible to switch with your, you can try it. But you're going to switch sides, so take your left leg on top. Use your right hand to get in between the left toes. And then bend your leg. So this is stage one. Still getting a hip stretch. And stage two is to stack your shins. One side will probably work better than the other. Yeah, if you can't reach the other foot, just stay with the first one. All right, and then release, extend your legs out. Spread your toes. All right. Sit in Baddha Konasana. So feet together, knees apart. You can't see my feet. All right, so start with your big toes touching, the base of your big toes touching. And if you're a member of the T-Rex Club, my hands don't touch easily on behind me, so I take the roll that I had earlier. That makes it a little easier for me. I don't know if anyone else is a member of the short arm club. All right, so press your feet together. Now squeeze your buttocks and see if you can move your knees closer to the floor. You're more than welcome to sit up on something, like some blankets or something like that. All right. Now take the big toe side of your foot and move it to the floor. This is my, should have been in the circus kind of opening that I have. But when you do that, even if it's not that much, you might get a little release in your inner thigh. At the same time, move your, pull in from your knee to your outer hip. So for me, the easiest way to do that is to activate the gluteus medius, the middle buttock is what it's called sometimes, but it's not your biggest muscle on your buttocks, but it's the second biggest. All right, and then stretch your legs out. Come back to downward facing dog. So see if, so we did 2 hip stretches and a toe stretch from our last downward dog, and see if there's any difference in this downward dog from the last one. Because frequently downward dog feels like a hamstring stretch, but it's not always. There might be, if you have loose hamstrings like I do, it actually might be hips that will get you better into the pose. With that said, we are working on hamstrings today. All right, walk your hands back towards your feet. Fold forward. Place your hands on your hips. Inhale, come all the way up. All right, I'm going to show 2 different ways of working. So the first is with an upside down chair. And if you're using an upside down chair, you want a little padding for your heels. A sticky mat would work well, but I'm about to show you the sticky mat. So my heel is in the base of the chair, and I come forward like this. We've done this in class, but it's been a while since we've done this. The other way, if you don't have a chair, a yoga chair, or a folding chair, you take your roll and you put your toes on your roll. So either one of these will work. So either toes on roll, or I'll show it without this. Feet inside the chair seat. All right. I have another sticky note. And just here could be enough. So this is actually a little easier because when I grab this side of the chair, you see how my hips move back? So if I move my hips forward, that makes it a lot more intense. It also makes it a little bit of a balance pose. I'm just waiting for everyone to get set up, so you can always stay longer in the pose, right? Just check. Yep. Yep.
Very good, Mary. So, this one opening here.
Yes, and
Yeah.
for most people, lower down. So for most people, it's more in the calf.
For me,
Yes, definitely there too.
yeah.
I think everyone has a chair.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Then that's still going okay. You can come down. So it moves, at least for me, it moves between when I'm standing up and when I'm bending forward. It's a different feeling. That's been replaced by a dog. It's a different feeling than the first one. And then, now again, you can still do this with the roll. You can actually walk your hands a little bit forward, maybe. And it moves it again for me. And then here it's higher up for me. Here it's much lower down, more towards the ankle. And then standing up, it's more in the middle of the calf. And walk your hands back in. And come up off the chair. All right, so have the chair on the right side of your mat. So many yoga props around. And if you don't have a chair, you'll need the roll and a block. But this time you're just going to put your right foot on the chair. Step your left foot back for standing poses. So they show if you didn't have a chair, it would look like this. So you'd have the block and roll, which you still can't see. Well, maybe you can. I can't see. So it either look like this, or like this. Lift your arms up. No, you can't see my head. And take your right hand down. You got a rail here, and you have a leg, a chair leg here. Now you're in Trikonasana. Roll your chest towards the ceiling. This actually helps you. All right, Uma, can you take a bigger step? Wider, yes, there we go. Correct. Is that okay for your hip, Marcia? Yeah, okay, good. Bob has a misbehaving chair. All right, pull from your left side, inhale, come up. Now, you can just turn around and do the other side, or since I want to be able to see you, I'll just move my chair over to the other side. And place your left foot in, take your right foot out, lift your arms up, turn your heel back. Press your heel into the chair seat or into the ground. With an exhalation, bring your left arm down. You can take your right arm on your waist again, or you can lift it up. The arm and the waist, the reason, one of the reasons we do this is it brings your focus to your legs. So when you lift your arms up, your mind goes up to the top arm. You take your arm down, you're more focused lower. So because we're using this prop, it makes more sense to focus on the lower body. Anyway, so one of the things that this chair does, other than move the stretch in the hamstring, is it tucks your hip in, the leg that's on the chair, that hip goes in. Then if you want to lift the arm up to feel the difference. Press through your right foot, inhale, come up. Come off the chair. All right. First side. Right foot in the chair, left leg out. Lift your arms up. Bend your right leg. For some of you, it will be easier to bend your right leg than it normally is. Some of you, it will be harder. Then take your right hand down. Take your left hand to your waist. Move your right hip forward underneath you. Roll your left shoulder back. Lift your left arm up. Take it out over your head. Turn to look up towards the ceiling or underneath your arm. Then lift your left arm straight to the ceiling and inhale, come all the way up. All right, change sides. Press your foot into the chair, lift your arms up. With an exhalation, bend your left leg. Take your left hand down to the chair. Take your right hand to your hip. Move your left hip underneath you and forward. Take your right shoulder back. Press down through your left foot. Rotate your chest towards the ceiling more and more. And then take your right arm up, straight up. Turn your palm, take it out over your head. Look up underneath your arm. Lift your right arm up, pressing through the feet. Inhale, come up. Get your feet off the chair. And then you're gonna have your right foot on the chair again. I'll move it to this side, even though it doesn't matter for this one. So right leg on the chair, left leg back, turn to face the chair. So you want your both hips facing the chair or the roll. If you're using a roll, you'll need 2 blocks for this one. Parsvottanasana. Exhale, bring your hands to the chair legs or to the blocks, and then come down the chair until you find the headrest, built-in headrest. You don't have to use the headrest. Press both thighs back, especially, which foot is this? The left leg, the left thigh, press that back. Then bring your hands to the chair legs, lift yourself up, change sides. Left leg forward, right leg back. Turn your hips to face the chair or the rolled blanket. Then keeping both legs straight, exhale as you come forward. Move both thighs back, especially the right leg. In this pose, the chair does keep the hip in, just like the other ones, but it also makes it harder to have uneven hips. Inhale, come back up. Step your feet together. You can remove the chair from, or the roll from the sticky mat. All right. So we're going to do that pose again, Parsvottanasana. But what I want you to notice is what I was just talking about. So I want you to look at my back, or my front hip. So I'm coming forward in the pose, but then when I lift my leg up, this hip moves back. And my goal is to keep it back as I take that foot down, rather than having it roll forward and up, which is what it wants to do. Okay, so I have some blocks, or if your hands can touch the floor, you can just touch the floor. Turn your hips and your legs to face your right leg, the short side of your mat. Parsvottanasana. And then fold forward, bring your hands to the bricks or floor. Okay, straighten both your legs. Straighten both your legs by pressing through both heels. And now imagine that you still have that chair there and lift the front of the right foot up. And feel how that moves your right hip back. Then keep your right hip back as much as possible as you lower the foot to the floor. Lift yourself up. Change sides. Keep both legs straight as you fold forward. Press through both of your heels. Then, lift the front of the left foot up. Feel how that takes the left hip back. You may need to come up higher on the blocks to do this because of where you're tight. I'm moving my block forward just so you can see. You don't need to move your block forward. Then, keep your left hip back as you start to lower your left toes to the floor. Chaya, your step could be a little shorter. I don't get to say that very often. No, the other way. Go feet closer together. Yes, like that. Most of the time, I think it's hard to tell with Karen because I only see her from knees up, but I think she needs a bigger step, and I think Uma needs a bigger step. Yeah. Yeah, look at that, Chad. All right. Place your hands on your hips, come all the way back. All right, now we're gonna go into the full pose. So that wasn't the full pose. So I'm gonna show, the only difference is that you don't get to use your hands. So bring your hands together, just like we did earlier, turn them towards the ceiling. If this does not work for you, you can grasp your elbows like we did earlier, or your wrist. Otherwise, place your hands in Paschimottanasana Namaskar. Then take your feet wide. You can step, you can jump. Roll your shoulders back, press your hands towards your back. Turn towards your right. All right. Now, because it's become a balance pose, you have to press down strongly with your right big toe and your left heel. So balance your weight there. If you're feeling shaky here, let's see if I'll show this from. So this is the stance. So if you're feeling shaky, if you take your feet wider this way, this is too wide, but you get the idea, is that they're wider this way rather than wider this way. This will make it harder. All right. But the trick is to press down with your feet to keep your balance. Also, the other trick is to breathe. I used to not breathe in this pose. It's like I always get dizzy in this pose. All right. Press your hands into your back, lift your chest. Exhale, fold forward over your right leg. You might have to pull, if you have flexible hamstrings, you might even have to pull your lower abdomen in just a touch to lower yourself down. So remember where the weight should be on your feet. They should actually be even, but the chances are that you get a little light in the front big toe and the back heel. Now, continue to press through the back heel. Inhale, lift your chest. Come all the way back up. Turn to the other side. Press down with your left big toe and your right heel. Find your balance. Inhale, lift your chest, look up. That'll help you lift your chest. Then keep the weight on your front big toe and back heel. And as you start to lower yourself down over to the front leg. Keep your legs strong and steady. Kneecaps lifted, feet pressing strongly into the floor. Find your weight on the front foot, your focus. Then press through your back heel. Inhale, come all the way up. Turn your feet to the front. Take your legs a little wider. Line up the outsides of your feet with the outsides of your mat. Roll your shoulders back, lift your chest. Exhale, fold halfway. And then fold a little further. Aiming your nose for the floor. And then when you can't go down anymore, release the back of your head. Prasarana Padottanasana 2. Press through your heels. Inhale, lift up. Halfway. Take a breath. Then lift all the way back up. Slowly release your hands. That was a long time in that. Spread your hands out, fingers out. You can take each finger towards the wrist. I don't know if you can see that. Depends how big I am on your screen, but one. A little practice for the brain there. All right. Okay, it's time for Shirshasana, or inversions. So if you are not inverting, actually you could have done most of this class, so good for me. Let's see. You will do the pose we just did, except this version, with the hands here and down. So Prasarana Padottanasana 1. You have support under your head. Like this. Or you can go stand on your head. So figure out what you're going to do. And begin. So if you're in Prasarana Padottanasana 1, which is the first pose I showed, the forward bend. Press evenly through the inner and outer foot. Relax your neck. Everyone can relax their neck and their jaw. If you're in Shirshasana, press evenly through your right and left arm. That's where the weight is on your head. Then you press your forearms into the floor, lift your shoulders toward your hips. I always feel a little bit like the princess and the pea in this pose. Can't quite get it even. My head. There. Lower down. Come down. If you're in headstand, come down with strong shoulder support. And then since we haven't even done it today, everyone can rest in child's pose. All right, come back up. Now again, we have options. This is America. Okay, that's my teacher's joke. So, I don't think, not that tall. No, not quite. Okay, so option one is arms on a chair or against a wall, lifting one leg up. All right. Option two, hands on the floor, legs on the wall, lifting one leg straight up. Don't let it go all the way back there. Straight up. Option three, I have too much stuff over here. Hands on the floor. Whoops. Legs up. All right. Everyone have something to do? Yes. All right, I want to see active arms, Taya. Active. Yes. Mm-hmm. Better. Yes, if you're holding on to something, really hold on to it, push into it. Straighten your left arm, Sopo. The one towards the door, not the one towards the red chair. I think that's your left. It's also a little far out. Good job. Oh, my legs can go. There we go. Good job. Maybe it's something with me. I think Bob's left arm was bending a little bit. If you have one leg lifted up, switch legs, if you haven't already. Oh, okay. That's like the relaxed version, Chai. You know I don't do relaxed yoga. That one's really nice. Yeah. Okay. Marsha, turn your hip down a little bit. There you go. Sopo's still up. Your left arm's still bent, I think. Yeah. All right. Come down. Again, I'm going to give another option just in case. I mean, everyone here seems to have a chair, but if you don't have a chair, then I want you to be able to do something. Sometimes people do this as a recording. So if you don't have a chair, you're going to do Ustrasana. Like this. This is Ustrasana. You can have blocks or a bolster. But if you have, since so many of you have a chair, it would be a shame not to do this. Going back over a chair. Now the thing about this is like, if you've never done this before, it's a little intimidating to do it on your own. There goes the chair. So the important part of this is that your feet don't leave the ground. So my toes are actually on the floor, and my heels, both of them, are on the chair legs. And then I'm going to lean back and squeeze the sides of the chair. You can have a blanket or a sticky mat. You want to be about an arm's distance or just a fingertips distance away from the wall. You actually don't have to use a wall. It's just a little scarier that way. All right. And I'm going to move my hips forward, squeeze my arms in, and if this is your first time doing it, all I want you to do is just lift your hips and put them back down. All right? But if this is like old hat for you, then you're going to lift your hips and bring your hands to the wall. Or you're going to go up into Ustrasana. This will work on any chair. And well, not any chair. Don't you do, if the chair is on rollers, don't do it. But any, like, you know, regular kitchen chair. Yeah. And then when you've been there for about 30 seconds, come back down. All right, then come back down. Because we're going to go lower. So if that was okay for you, scoot a little closer to the wall. Squeeze your elbows in, lift your chest, and then walk your hands down the wall. Really have a good roll here. I think the more time you spend at home, the more you need to do these back bends. Yeah, there you go, Doug. Yeah. And then come down and rest in the chair. Now, my wall is an entertainment center, but I'm sure yours, you have the same problems at your house. I'm going to put my chair at the wall, scoot in close, grab the legs of the chair, and I press my upper arms down, lift my hips up, walk my heels to the edge of the chair, like this. The reason we grab the sides of the chair is to keep us close in. It actually is not something that you're actively doing, you're not trying to pull the chair, but it's to keep you close into the chair, lift you up. So if you're not there already, get in close to the chair. Marsha, you'll use the blanket under your shoulders, I think, or two. If you have the flexibility and your hip flexors, you can put your heels straight onto the edge of the chair seat. But for most people, the rails of the chair are easier. And then press your upper arms down, lift your hips up, roll your shoulders under, push your heels in. If you feel your feet sliding, you can either put a sticky mat on the chair or you can put your heels around the edge of the chair. Look at your knees. Make sure they're lined up with your hips and they're not splayed out. You want your legs pointing, legs parallel to each other. It's not necessary. For most people, that will not be together. You have to have very small hips. Then slowly lower your hips back down to the floor. Rest your calves on the chair seat. All right. So you can either repeat that or go into shoulder stand. So your choice there. Shoulder stand takes a little longer to set up. So for the lazy yogi, this is a better choice. It's funny because usually the people that are lazy with props are pretty active with the other stuff. Yeah, get that out. I'm looking forward to finally having my yoga room at some point and just leaving a shoulder stand set up out. I don't have to set it up every time. Well, that took less than 60 seconds, so I should make me realize that's really not a big deal. So when you're ready, you either use the chair coming up and down, or you come into Salama Sarvangasana. Whichever pose you're in, make sure your throat is soft, that you're not feeling like you're being strangled. Relax the sides of your face, area around your eyes. At the same time, press your upper arms into the floor. Be broad across your collarbones. If you're on the chair, you can lift one leg straight up to the ceiling. And if you're in Salama Sarvangasana, you can take your right leg down towards the floor. Keep your right hip lifted so it's not going down towards the floor with the leg. Hip stays up, leg goes down. Lift your right leg back up or place the right leg back on the seat. And if you are in the one with the chair, you're going to lower down and take a breath in between. That one can be hard to hold for a long time. All right, and then into the other leg. So left leg down for Salama Sarvangasana. So that would be Ekapada Salama Sarvangasana. Or left leg up in the hybrid. It's really a hybrid between Salama Sarvangasana and Chatuspadasana. Keep both legs straight in Sarvangasana. Lift the outer left hip up as you lower the leg down. Then lift that leg back up, come back into Salama Sarvangasana. Notice if you've added any tension in your jaw, your face. It's much more tightness inducing here to grip your jaw or your neck or something like that because your neck is in such deep flexion. Continue to press your upper arms into the floor. Oh, looks like we're giving up the ghost. So, all right. So if you're in shoulder stand, come over to Halasana and lower yourself back down. So bent knees, straight legs, depends on your flexibility. Yeah, pop. Everyone can rest at this point. Your shoulders release to the floor. All right, bend your knees. Roll to your side. Come on up. All right, Mrityasana 3. So for the Mrityasanas, I need some height. So I'm gonna sit on some blankets. So there's two reasons you would need height. The first one is for your hamstrings. So if your hamstrings are tight, chances are you need to sit on something to sit in Dandasana. Or, in my case, your hip flexors are tight. So here, I'm a little tight. So to bring my leg all the way in, I need some height. Otherwise, I'll be leaning back. So bend your right leg. Have your left leg in Dandasana. The way to test if you're sitting up on the right amount of height is if you lift your arms. If you lift your arms and you start to go this way, you need more height. All right, now take your left hand to your right leg and turn to your right. A break. So have your right hand should be able to press down on something. It could be the blankets or the floor, but I need a break. Now pull with your left hand and turn. All right. Keep your head in line, your nose in line with your sternum. So don't turn your head yet. I didn't say it, but. So keep turning. Turn so your chest faces your leg. your belly. The same direction. All right. Then when you've turned as much as you can, then you can turn your head to look over your right shoulder. Then turn your head to look over your left shoulder. And see if either one of those you can turn a smidgen more. For me, it's the opposite shoulder I can turn more. But for you, it might be something different. All right. And then return to Dandasana. Bend your left leg. Okay, turn around. Hug your left knee in. Hold on to your left leg with your right arm. Take your left arm behind. And use your arms to turn your torso. See how much of your chest you can get facing the same direction. In this case, the right shoulder will always be a little bit back of the left. Maybe not. I don't know. There's some pictures of Iyengar where he looks pretty even. But. Now look over your left shoulder. See if you can turn further. Then look over your right shoulder and see if you can turn further. Return to center, Dandasana. I think I do this pose every time I practice. Upavista Konasana. Take your legs wide. So you may need to sit on something to be able to lift your arms up. So if you can't lift your arms up, then sit on something. I mean, everyone will be able to lift their arms up, but what happens when you do? Or maybe not, I don't know. Press your thighs down. Rest your hands on your legs. Grind your thighs to press down, and then reach your arms down your legs. A little wide to grab my toes. If you can grab your big toes, grab your big toes. Once you get your big toes, move your abdomen towards the floor. Then your chest, and then your chin. If your chin's on the floor, you can rest your forehead on the floor. If that doesn't work, lift the floor. Inhale, come back up. Bring your legs together in Dandasana. Now you can have Paschimottanasana. You can have a lot of bricks. Rest your head. If that's not enough, you can sit on more height. That'll help. You can use a chair. So come forward in Paschimottanasana, extension of the western side. Press your thighs down. Inhale, lift yourself back up. And then come into Shavasana. Lie on your back. Roll your shoulders under. Extend your legs. Rest the weight of your body into the floor. Soften your neck and throat. Release your jaw. Rest your tongue into the base of your mouth. And use the next few moments to focus on your breath. Deepen your breath. Bend your knees. Pull your knees in toward your chest. Support your head as you roll to your right side. Roll a little further to your right side and use your arms to lift yourself back up to seated. Take your arms to the side, lift your chest. Bring your palms together in front of your heart. Think of something you're grateful for. Namaste. Thank you all for coming.